All right, everybody, how's it going? It's July 20th, 2024, and we're just at the beginning of training camps, and everything's just getting going. Teams are reporting. Next week, we're probably going to see practices, more teams reporting. So we're kind of in the preseason of the NFL, sort of training camp, preseason kind of hybrid situation. So it's kind of fun. I never really do this because I'm not a big fan of like predicting preseason stuff or ranking preseason because we don't really know how things are going to go. Teams made good additions, they lost players. um, and players are hurt, players are coming back from injury. Again, you kind of have to go off what you've seen last year, what you've seen, what they did in the offseason, how they drafted, what you think the picks are going to do. Just a number of things you got to kind of think about, look at, and just kind of evaluate when you're like do these kind of like week like preseason power rankings. I just thought it'd be kind of fun just to get a video out, just to get my ideas with the NFL out and just talk about this a little bit. This is kind of a fun little list I made. Before we get more into it, make sure you guys drop a like. We're kind of struggling with likes on the videos. Only got a few last videos. So if you want to go ahead and leave a like, it really helps the video out, makes it perform better. It helps it in the algorithm, all that YouTube mumbo jumbo. It would really, really help out. I would appreciate it. Anyway, subscribe as well. Yeah, let's talk about kind of like the way I made this list, right? So essentially, what the methodology here was, like I said, I kind of went off what they did in the draft, what their offseason looked like, of in additions, subtractions, coaching changes, all kinds of things. I'm not going to go over each thing that I did when I went over the thing. I'll give like a brief, kind of quick reason why each team is where they are. Because if I went over like the process I actually went through with putting each team where I put them, we'd be here for like an hour, and nobody wants an hour long video, right? That's more like a stream kind of thing. This is more like a just a quick little, what are my quick thoughts on the listings, why they're there, and it's like 1 through 32 or 32 through 1. You can kind of figure that out. Tier maker is so good. But yeah, I have it listed as either really bad or just completely rebuilding teams. Still not a great team, but should be better than what they were last year. Borderline team, they could make the playoffs. Playoff teams, missing one or a few things that kind of, there's just something about the team where I'm like, yeah, if it wasn't this specific thing, I'd put them as like a Super Bowl contender. But like we'll go over that one. I'll actually explain for each of them why I don't think they're Super Bowl contenders right now. And then of course these 6 teams that I see as Super Bowl contenders, like one of these 6 teams to me will be in the play Super Bowl, sparing health and everything like that, of course. Yeah, let's just start at the bottom. Why I put the Panthers at 32 of 32. You know, worst team last year. Again, they improved the offensive line, so that should be better. But again, until we see kind of like what they're doing, how the coaching works, is Bryce Young going to be a good NFL quarterback? Was it just the bad offensive line? Was it a lack of receivers? I didn't really like the receivers that they added in, though. Again, everything's a little bit better than it was last year, but it still feels like there's quite an uphill mountain to go. They have a big hole to climb up out of. They still, to me, until we actually see them play and look good and look consistent or show something, that you can be like, oh, okay, there's like a defense there. Like with like the Patriots, you could be like, there's a defense there. You know what I mean? Like they can play very good defense. Washington, there's the bits and pieces of an offense there and bits and pieces of a defense there. Um, Carolina, it feels like you got like a quarterback, maybe an okay pass defense with some decent corners. You know, so that's why I have them right where they're at. They could be better though. They had an okay offseason. They're improving. Then I have the Broncos, mainly just because I feel like they're in a complete rebuild. The quarterback situation is kind of a question mark. We're not really sure who's going to wind up winning that job. And last year they weren't great, even with Russell Wilson. The offense was spotty, inconsistent. Never really got into any kind of groove. Their defense was okay, but it still wasn't the greatest. You know what I mean? Like it seemed like the Broncos just weren't a great team last year, and it feels like now they're rebuilding, which is good. It's good to be rebuilding, but still, I feel like they're going to be one of the bottom ranked teams this year, mainly just because, again, I'm not really sure at all what the quarterback situation is. So yeah, I'm not, again, and I don't know if Sean Payton can coach still. I think the game might have passed him by. Kind of like, remember when Zimmer for the Vikings got passed the game up? Like, was it Mike Zimmer? He was a great coach, and then suddenly he wasn't because the game kind of passed him. Could be going on with Peyton. The Commanders, I'm a little. I'm not really sure what they're going to be this year, right? It seems like Jaden Daniels is going to play some decent quarterback in the NFL. And it seems like they got a decent coaching system with Dan Quinn. So it's like, yeah, they could be a lot better than last year, but I feel like there's going to be like that year buffer where they're kind of rebuilding the offensive line, rebuilding the offense a little bit more around Daniels, building the defense into Dan Quinn's image. So it could be like a rough start that gets better as the year goes on. But again, everything's so new ownership, new coaches, new quarterback, new offense, new defense plans, new everything. And it's hard to be like, yeah, that's going to be a team that's ready to go. And historically, they've handled this thing well. So, you know what I mean? It's like, now we're on to my team, the New England Patriots. The only reason I have them higher than the other teams is because, in terms of like franchise stability and franchise, like, what's the word? You can kind of respect what the Patriots franchise has done. Over the years, they've kind of earned a little bit of grace, I would say. And they had the Bill Belichick, Gerard Mayo succession plan in place. It was supposed to happen after the 2024-2025 season, but it happened a year early. So you can kind of see how the Patriots were already ready for this. They promoted a lot of their coaches and kind of made guys that know the system already in place. You know what I mean? It seems like they brought in an offense that's a little bit more modern, so they fixed that up. Guys who've coached in the NFL and have been around NFL teams. Again, they're very young. They're not going to be a great team, but again, they do have a top like 10, top 5 defense. I still think it'll be very good even without Belichick there, because again, all of the guys who've been coaching with Belichick, that defense are still there. It's the same units. The only guy missing is Steven Belichick and Bill. So hopefully they can kind of keep that defense running. So that's kind of puts them ahead of these other teams. And if their offense is slightly better than last year, they could be a much better team. But again, the quarterback situation's a little fucky. Brand new offense again. So they sit pretty low, but I still think they're a little bit better than what some people are saying they're looking like. Are they going to be great? No, they're like a 6-win team. Maybe if we get really lucky, 8 wins. So maybe if Drake May has a breakout year as a rookie, then we get lucky. I don't know. But either way, it's going to be a rough year for the Patriots. I just think with their defense, I think they can stay in a lot of games and be very close. And they could probably beat a lot of bad teams if their offense can click just a little bit better than it has the last 2 years anyway, which can't be much harder. It really can't be harder to be better than last year. We were losing games like 6-3, 10-6. We can do just better than that. That's like 7, 8, 9 wins. So anyway, let's go on to the Tennessee Titans. Kind of a similar spot. They're rebuilding, like the quarterback situation. I don't know. They got Will Levis, who's in his second year. They've got a decent little situation, kind of bad offensive line. Defense is kind of being reconstructed. They're a rebuilding team. I didn't really know what to do with Tennessee, if I'm being honest. I took one look at them and went, well, shit, I can either put them in still not a great team, or they're kind of rebuilding. They just lost Henry. I'll put them in that spot. All right, that's that tier. And then we jump up to the still not a great team, but should be better. New Orleans Saints, second year with Carr. If he's fully healthy, I think they'll be better. I think with Kamara back and a little bit healthier, that should help them out. I think their defense should be a bit improved. If they usually have a good defense, that should be a little bit better improved. I think they drafted well. They should be better than what they were last year, or if anything, the same team. I almost put them in the bad teams, but I was like, they should be all right. The Giants, because of Daniel Jones, they have to be here. If they had done anything to get a different quarterback or didn't feel like they were obviously just trying to get through this season to get to the next quarterback, I would say they maybe could be good, because I do like the pick of Neighbors. I think their offense could be dynamic. It really just depends on Daniel Jones. If he can kind of play like he did a couple years ago when he got paid, well, then the Giants kind of could have a good year with what they got. But it really, really just depends on Jones. And I don't really like a team's season depending on a very, what's the best way I can put it? A very inconsistent quarterback. So I'll have the Giants here. But again, they could be a lot better than this. The Bears, they should be much better. I don't mind Justin Fields, but I do think Caleb Williams, even as a rookie, may be the best Bears quarterback that they've ever had. He could probably break every regular season record for the Bears with a slightly good season. Very good receiving core. Defense is going to be good. The real question for the Bears is let's see it all work, and then we could probably move them up. Again, we have to see it work. Everything on paper looks good, but that could mean absolutely nothing. We've seen teams look great on paper and win like 4 games. Again, we don't know what Caleb's going to be in the NFL. We got to see it. Preseason. Again, they everything looks good, but again, offensive line a little shaky still. Rookie quarterback, head coach. Who knows? And then we go to the Raiders. I like their defense a lot. I think it's one of the better ones in the NFL. I think that can carry them through and win them a lot of games. I like that they kept Antonio Pierce. I think that's a good way to continuation. It keeps the team vibes high. It gets to it helps to build on something, a culture and identity. Now the offensive situation isn't great, which is why I have them way down here. But if they can find a quarterback to kind of come play and kind of guide this team and make them play better and they look and feel better with good quarterback play, I think that don't they have Gardner Minshew? Hold on a minute. Yeah, he's a Raider. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I like them adding Gardner Minshew. I think that actually gives them a decent shot at a quarterback. Again, with the offense they have, Gardner could work there. They should be a lot better than last year, but I'm not really sure if they're a playoff team quite yet. We kind of have to see Gardner full season as a starter. Got to see the Raiders play consistently good all year, not just half a season. Yeah, they could quickly jump up. Pittsburgh just rebuilding. Honestly, they probably are a little too high. But I just kind of trust Mike Tomlin. I trust what they're doing with their offense. With their defense, their quarterback situation's a little rough, but we'll see how they go, which is also why I have them here. Will they be able to finish 500 or above it again like they usually do? Most likely. It seems like they always do. So they're right around here. I just don't know if they're going to be better than Atlanta, Arizona, Minnesota, and the teams above them. But I think they'll be right about what they were last year. Maybe a little better, maybe a little worse. Again, they're a team you kind of got to see, like, how is Russell going to look? How is Justin Fields possibly going to look? Because, they have a better quarterback situation, but we're not sure if it's actually better. It's more stable than Kenny Pickett and them, but by how much? If Atlanta hadn't drafted Michael Penix, I'd have them on a borderline team. But I feel like the fact that they drafted Michael Penix when they could have really done a whole bunch for their defense here really is going to hurt them. I think getting Cousins is great. They have a good offense. Maybe even a great borderline elite offense with the pieces they have there, and they'll be able to score. The problem is football's a 2-part game. You can ask the Detroit Lions last year what happens when you don't have a great defense to go with your offense. You can lose games. You can lose important games. And that's kind of where I sit with this team. It feels like they completely forgot about drafting for their defense and just, I don't know. Again, if they hadn't taken Michael Penix, we might be having a different conversation with Atlanta because they maybe have taken the best edge rusher and one of the better corners. And now their defense is looking scary, like it's got some weapons on it. Now it kind of feels like you can still run all over Atlanta if they can't defend the run, or you could pass all over them if they can't defend the pass. It's, they're a one-way defense. They can do one thing for a week. So could be their big Achilles heel. I like the Cardinals offense. I think that's going to be one of the scariest offenses to deal with in the NFL. With Marvin Harrison, with Kyler Murray. I think they have other receivers who are pretty solid. So yeah, they'll be able to score. It's just I'm not really sure about their defense. Kind of a similar thing to Atlanta. Good offense. We have to see what their defense looks like. I have no idea. So that'll be fun, though. I can't wait to watch Marv. I really wanted the Patriots to get him, but such is life. Minnesota, it's mainly just the rebuilding, but they have like a very good set of skill players. Like they have great receivers. They've got a good running game, a great offensive line. They've got a good defense mostly. But it's just like the quarterback situation's such a mess. I had to put him down here. But again, if JJ can play or they find a veteran who can lead them to a good year, then I think they'll be a fine team and they could be a playoff team. But it's one of them things where it's like, boy, your quarterback situation is not great. Everything else is phenomenal for the most part. Maybe your corners could use some work. Everyone's teams could use better corners. But again, it's just the quarterback situation that I'm very unsure about with them, which is why I have them where I have them. If it was more stable, it'd be like, yeah, they're a playoff team. They'd be at the bottom or just before the Rams. All right, that's that tier. We'll move on to the borderline team could make the playoffs. Seattle, it's just the quarterback. If Geno can play good, if their defense is a lot better than last year, if their offensive line's a little bit better than last year, that's a playoff team. Kind of depends on what the division looks like, what the rest of the NFC looks like, how the new coaching system works. Basically, the only thing I feel like holding them back is the new coaching staff, and if he can make that team work, then they're probably a playoff team. Not really a surprise there. This tier might go kind of quick because it's kind of obvious, right? Like Tampa Bay, they snuck in last year. They have pretty much the same team as last year. They've added some improvements. They kept Baker, so it's kind of there's consistency from year to year now. I could see them being a little bit better. I could see them winning the division quite easily. To me, it's their division to lose, so I have them kind of in first place. Jaguars. If Trevor Lawrence doesn't have another regression this year and kind of gets over his what I call his sophomore slump. Again, I say he's a year behind. He was a rookie in his second year, a second year player last year, entering his third year this year. I know he's not, but in my head, because he had he had Nick or what the fuck, Urban Meyer that first year, so we don't count that year. So hopefully he's over his sophomore slump. If he is, they should be a playoff team. But again, we kind of aren't really sure. The AFC South does have the Texans, the Colts, who should be much improved. Even Tennessee could be a problem. The AFC itself is very good, so making the playoffs is very hard, which is why I have them as a borderline playoff team, similar with the Colts next to them. I think those are two very good teams. They both had decent off seasons, good coaching staffs. I like the quarterback situation with Indy if they can stay healthy with Anthony Richardson. But again, with everything going on, it's just like them having the Texans in the division, playing in the AFC, which is very good right now, especially with the AFC North having like potentially 4 playoff teams in it. The AFC East could produce 3. The AFC West could produce a few. It's, you know what I mean? It's tough for the wild card teams to come from the South. Really, it's just tough to make the playoffs. So these are why they're borderlines. Chargers, I don't know what they're doing. I don't like that they got rid of all the receivers. They have a whole new offensive system, a whole new coaching staff, and it seems like they're going to fundamentally change the way they play football. I don't know if that's good or bad, but they have a lot of talent, so they should be fine. However, they're on kind of this borderline until we see what they are, because again, we're not really sure what the hell they're doing, why they've done what they've done, who's going to catch the balls, are they going to be able to run the way that they want to? Is Justin Herbert even going to be really a factor on the team anymore? It's a lot of question marks with the Chargers, so I have them down here. All right, playoff teams. Missing one. This one's a little bit probably going to be the one that pisses people off. These are all very good teams and teams I wouldn't be shocked if they could make a playoff or Super Bowl run, but I feel like where we sit like right now in the offseason, it's kind of tough to say these are playoff teams or like these are Super Bowl contenders. And I'll give one reason for each team or a couple kind of quick here. With the Dolphins or with the Rams, I like their team. Great coaching, great offense, great defense. But I think with them losing their best player in Aaron Donald and kind of making it the defense fundamentally different than it was the year before. Because again, you lose Aaron Donald, no matter how much you could try to replace him, you can't really replace that kind of player and what he can do for like pass rush, which makes the secondary better, which makes the linebackers play better. His ability to play the run, which helps the linebackers, and again, everything Aaron Donald does makes such a big impact on the defense, on the offense as well. Because again, your defense is quick, gets your offense back on the field. You know what I mean? Kind of frustrating, gives your offense a lot of room to not make mistakes, or they can make mistakes. They could play loose. They could play front. They can play confidently because they know their defense will stop them with the mistake they make. So like, say Matt Stafford throws a pick, the offense isn't really worried about it because Aaron Donald's defense shuts it down. Having that kind of pushes them out of the Super Bowl and puts them really close to a borderline team. But I think due to the coaching, the players that are there, how good they usually are, they're still right in that conversation and picture. Stafford and and McVay kind of ice him there. Miami Dolphins. This is going to sting Dolphins fans, but until you guys can win a playoff game, until you guys get over your December curse, you're never going to be a Super Bowl contender. That's just the sad reality of the situation. Again, I think you have a great team. Looks good on all parts of the ball. Receivers are great. Quarterback plays good. Good offensive line. Pretty solid defense. Good coaching. Win in December and win a playoff game, and then we can get rid of this this situation you guys got going on. Really, that's the reality of it. Just start winning games in late in the season. It's like it's a continued thing even with this current regime. It's not like if this wasn't going on with your coach, I can't believe I'm blanking. Holy shit. Boy, I can't believe I can't remember Miami's head coach's name. What the hell is the coach? What the hell? Mike McDaniel. That's why I couldn't remember it. Yeah, but if like McDaniel, it's happening under his regime as well. The problems in the playoffs and late seasons. So again, once those are corrected, I can kind of maybe give them Super Bowl contender status. The Browns, very, very, very good defense, one of the best in the NFL. If Nick Chubb stays healthy, if Deshaun Watson can play good, I know this is going to be controversial, but he was starting to play good right before he got hurt, especially in the game that he got hurt. I don't know if you guys seen how that game ended, but he was a machine. And he's looked good all preseason, all off season. He kind of looks like the old Deshaun people are saying. So if that's back under control, if that's kind of the way it's looking, they have decent receivers, one of the better defenses in football, solid coaching staff. I do think the Browns, the only thing, the question mark is Deshaun Watson. If Deshaun was playing good, they'd be a contender. I hate to tell everybody that. That's a very good football team. Go take a peek. I promise it's not bad. I know you may not like Deshaun Watson for personal reasons, but that's a damn good football team. Dallas Cowboys, choke artists. We know their thing. They haven't won shit since the 90s. Really, the ultimate thing for them is win and things improve. You know what I mean? It's a simple formula for them. They have a great team. They're well put together. Great defense, great offense. The coaching staff isn't really even that bad with McCarthy. It's just they got to win games for me to be like, yeah, that's a Super Bowl contender. They're a playoff team, but they can't beat the playoff teams. So specifically the team to their right or to the left here, the Green Bay Packers. You know what I mean? It's like you gotta be able to beat the teams to get further. And that's why LaFleur is down here. Not really sure. Again, the Packers had a really good. They're in my top 10. So however you want to look at it, they're my number 10 team. So here's the top 10. I have the Packers at 10. My big thing with them is I want to know if Love was actually who we seen at the end of last year for like those last 8 games, or did he get a very fortunate run of like 8 pretty solidly easy teams to play against, like the Lions defense and Chicago, like games that aren't super challenging, but he did very well in. So it's like, is he actually that guy, or was that kind of just a mirage? No one really knew anything, and now they have the book on him, and now we'll see if he actually is that guy. So yeah, I'm leaning toward he is very good. So that's why I have him here. Good coaching, solid defense, good pieces on offense. The only problem for me is LaFleur has shown that he struggles in NFC Championship games, big games versus the 49ers. He seems to just have this sort of, I don't know. It's one of them things where it's like if he could just win and get to a Super Bowl, he'd be a Super Bowl contender. But it seems like LaFleur has this ceiling on him where it's like until he gets there, it's hard to say he's a Super Bowl contending team. Maybe next year they'd be a contender once we know that Love is 100% a guy, and not just kind of like a flash player. Something to think about. The only reason Houston's not up one higher is I got to make sure that it wasn't like a fluke. They're a very young team. The experience really isn't there. D'Amico Ryan doesn't have a ton yet. Will they be a playoff team? Yeah. Would I be surprised if they make it to the AFC Championship? Not at all. Again, it's just a young team, young coach, young everything. Just maybe a little bit harder this year now that teams are expecting you to be good. So teams are ready for you. They're prepping for you. They know how to deal with you. Now, does knowing how to deal with you stop the fact that you're very good? Not really, but hey, to go from the bottom of my power rankings last year in most people's to get to the top of most people's, I'd say the Texans have a lot to look forward to. Again, it's just the youth and inexperience thing. I'm not sure if I think that does matter. Personally. All right, now we go on to the Bills. Yeah, just kind of a similar weird thing to like the Cowboys. Despite how good they are, I think they're a great team. They'll probably win the division, the AFC East. They'll probably get close to the AFC Championship game, but again, they just seem to choke. McDermott seems to just miss the calls. Josh Allen, he plays great. Just it seems like the team itself is kind of cursed. Can't get to the Super Bowl under the McDermott regime, and until we see McDermott get this Bills team into the Super Bowl, where they've been very close, very close, very close, it's hard to call them a Super Bowl contender. It's like, well, we kind of know how the season's going to end. Um, it seems like this team can get very, very close, just can't get into the dance with the current regime running the operation. So, don't know. They've had plenty of years to get there, and they haven't. So, hard to say that they're a contender. They're a pretender. Until they get there, it's like, we're not just going to give you guys the hype, all the hype in the world at this point. It's like, come on, actually win something. Beat the Chiefs. And then we got the New York Jets. On paper, this is one of the better teams in football. I'd have them a tier higher if we knew if Rodgers could play a full season. I'm not trying to take shots at him. It's just 40 years old, coming off Achilles. Oftentimes, you could see people blow their knees out. Oftentimes, you see people who come off ACLs rupture their Achilles, so they're kind of like these weird connected injuries. 40 years old. Hopefully he's fine, plays good, and whatever. I don't want the Jets to do well, but if he's healthy and can play well and still has the ability to play at a high level at his age, yeah, the Jets should be a good team this year. Again, there's still questions about, like, on paper, everything looks great. They look solid. But they could also lack chemistry, not play well together. Just doesn't work out the way everyone's thinking it's going to. A lot of questions. But again, on paper, they look good. Last year, the Jets seemed like all they were missing was a quarterback like Rodgers to kind of guide the ship, and they'd have been a million times better. So again, they get the respect. So I give them the spot. They're not quite a contender, despite their defense being a Super Bowl kind of defense. Their offense is so questionable that it knocks them down a peg, I would say. Again, if Rodgers is healthy and good to go, it could be a good team. All right. The final ones. This is mainly just me going to praise the guys and kind of explain why it's where they're at. With the Eagles, their offense wasn't great last year. Still very good. I like the additions they had put on their defense, which still wasn't great last year. They were kind of like the shakiest of the Super Bowl contenders up here. Bengals were the shakiest, but again, they had health issues all year. With all things considered for health, everyone stays healthy and everything. Again, I'm not really sure how losing Kelsey's going to play out for the team. I'm sure they'll be fine. It's just losing a few things. The offense was shaky last year. I still think they're a team that will be at the top of the NFC this year. It's just, I feel like they're just not a top 5 team for me right now. Based on what I've seen last year, based on the offseason, I'm just like, seems like Philly should be better. And if they improve, it can't be harder to improve from what happened at the end of last year. But boy, oh boy, that wasn't a pretty year for them. Similarly with the Bengals, I have them kind of down here because, again, I give them a bit more of a mulligan because they had a really unhealthy year, and they lost DJ Reader, so there's kind of like a couple of things weighing hard on them. But again, offensively, they should be up there. Everybody stays healthy. They're one of the best offenses in football. They play well in the playoffs. They beat playoff teams. They're a very well coached team. They're pretty well coached by Zach Taylor. Yeah, overall, I do think they have a very good shot of actually staying healthy and going to the Super Bowl. They're my AFC pick, if I'm not going to lie. They're my personal favorite to win the AFC with full health. And then so that's why I have them here. But again, with their health has been shaky. Burrow's kind of injury prone, so we'll see how that plays. The 49ers, I like their team. I feel like they didn't do it, like, unless I'm missing something. I feel like they had a very quiet offseason. Again, they didn't need to do much. They just got to get past the Chiefs. They just maybe need Purdy to get a little older, and they'll be fine. Some experience for the young QB. It's like one of them things where it's like, this is a great team. However, I think because of the team I have to their left in the Lions, one of the things that worries me with the 49ers and the fact that I felt they were kind of complacent this offseason, unless I'm missing something. Again, I could be. But it feels like they didn't really feel they needed to go make any crazy moves to get their team much better because it's a great team, right? So they're kind of just like, we can kind of rest on our laurels, get guys signed up, get things kind of ready for next year, kind of regame plan, make minimal moves. And I think that's going to hurt them because what the Lions had this offseason, why I have the Lions actually ahead of them, is they recognize what lost them that NFC Championship game versus the Niners. It wasn't anything to do with their offense. So they went and they completely reconstructed their defense, adding Reader, adding Carlton Davis. The Lions play man defense. Carlton Davis didn't have a great year in Tampa's defense last year because they switched to zone. He's not good in zone. He was the number 2 ranked corner in man last year. Carlton Davis was. Lions play the most man. He's now a man corner in Detroit. Good move. He was only second to L'Jarius Sneed. So again, the Lions then drafted 2 very high rating corners in Arnold and Enos Extra. They have more money. They could also go make a move at one of these veteran safeties. So again, they've improved their secondary to a degree. Their defensive line has improved with Reader. Linebackers are a little bit older. Again, everything improved with Detroit to combat what happened against the Niners. Whereas the Niners, it feels like they're just kind of holding strong and hoping that their team is good enough this year. That this is the year they can do it. Where I feel like, and if these two teams were to re-meet in the NFC Championship, the Lions would take it because of the fact that they made additions to correct what went wrong last year. Whereas I feel like the Niners, again, unless I'm missing something, didn't. And that's why I put the Lions ahead of the Niners. I hope that makes sense. Baltimore, that's a scary team with Derrick Henry, boy. Let me tell you. Their offense could score a bajillion points. Their defense is going to be very, very good. I completely forgot about Derrick Henry. Ravens, it may actually be Detroit versus Baltimore this year. If Baltimore can get past the team I have at number 1, they could very well win the Super Bowl this year, if we're being real. That's a very good team, very well coached, good quarterback, good running back, decent, actually good receivers now, or good defense. It's like, Baltimore's very good right now. If they stay healthy, that's a force, kind of like the Lions. Like, you can look at the Lions and go, oh shit, they don't have any weaknesses now. The only reason the Lions aren't higher is because their defense is basically all rookies and shit. And I'm not really sure how that's going to play out. If it was like year 2 of what they had, I'd be like, dude, the Lions first. Ravens is the Super Bowl. There's also a little bit of the element of the unknown with the Ravens. You know, like everything should work. It should. And then, of course, I always put the Super Bowl winner at number 1, especially since their offseason was fine. They didn't lose anybody too major. They got their guy. They got Mahomes. They got Kelsey. They got Chris Jones. They got L'Jarius Sneed. Don't need much else. So, till they're dethroned, we give the dynasty their respects. So yeah, that's my 1 through 32. You can disagree with me in the comments. That's totally fine. We'll have a fun conversation, I'm sure. You can say I did good. I just thought it'd be kind of fun to do a little power ranking, make a little video. I'll give people something to watch. But make sure you leave a like, subscribe to the channel. If you're new around here, the likes are really important. They help the video in the algorithm, all that YouTube mumbo jumbo. And yeah, just generally, thanks for listening. We're getting really close to actual NFL stuff. So again, I hope you enjoyed the video. I think this was a fun little thing to do. And just to do a little power ranking. Woo! All right. Have a good rest of your day. Night, morning, mid-afternoon, mid-evening, whenever you listen to this. As always, it's go Lions, go Patriots. It's go Lions, go Tigers. And of course, it's always go Patriots. I'll see you around. Peace.